I'm gonna become the number one author in my genre, and I'm taking you with me. See, it is currently, I don't know if you can see this, but 5:51 in the morning. All right. I detailed my hair, got out the shower, went to the gym, and now it's time to go try to achieve our dreams. All right. So for the next hour or so, we're gonna be calling bookstores to try and get my book into any of these bookstores, merge a partnership, and get this rolling. Okay. Because, I'm doing this on my own. I have no publisher, no one, and this is more for me, right? When it comes to I want to see in 10 years how I started. But the ultimate goal of everything that I do is to help as many people as possible. So if you're on your journey, you're on your goal, you are struggling with what you're doing, this is where we come together. All right. Those on the background, put this as a reminder as, hey, you know what? He's trying. He has no one doing this for him with him. I can do it too. All right. So let's go achieve our dreams together. I've said this in past videos, but this is going to be a safe space for high achievers, for dreamers, for people that want to change the world and they think they can do it with their product. All right. This is not a place for cynics, for pessimists. This is not a place for anyone that is not optimistic or realistic optimist, right? I have something called unrelenting realistic optimism, where that means that, hey, yes, there's going to be problems in the way, but we're going to find a way out of them. We're going to figure them out. And that's what we're doing here. All right. So currently I have a list of bookstores, right, that we're going to call. Now, because it's 5:51 in the morning, most places in the US are not open. So we're going to try to expand to international markets. All right. So I have already called two bookstores this morning on my drive back home, but we're going to do this together. And you're going to see me get rejected over and over and over again. And guess what I'm going to do? Call again and again and again. To as many places as it takes to get my book into that store, to get my foot into the door, and to keep going. Okay? So we'll put them on speakerphone and we're going to go for it. All right. So now we have the Company of Books.
Good morning, the company book.
Hi, how you doing this morning?
How can I help?
I was wondering if I could talk to you or anyone about a potential book partnership. I'm an independent author, and I know you get a million of these, but I was trying to get my book into your store and do like a partnership with you guys.
No, I'm afraid not. Your best bet if you want to try and get into Irish bookstores is to contact Argosy, Argosy. They're based in Dublin and they distribute.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Have a good one. Bye. Okay, so we got Argosy. So see, look, it wasn't what I wanted, but it was something. So let's look it up. So Argosy, Argosy book distributor. Now, one thing you got to understand about me is that I I have a deep love for Ireland. I'm Irish. Now, look, I'm not the typical, hey, I'm 20% Irish, so I'm gonna go to Ireland. No, I'm like 80% Irish. I wear the country around my neck. Like this is something that it would be big, And once again, I'm not doing this just for me. Like one thing you have to understand about this channel, about what I'm trying to do about these books, is that I want to give something to the world that goes past, money, that goes past fame, that goes past what I don't want that. Like that'd be a byproduct. And believe me, if I get rich, you're never gonna see my face, only my work. Because I don't want the fame. I just want the ability to help others. So doing this is a massive part of it, right? And I believe that getting a little bit of credibility behind this book, because once again, I am a self-published author. I don't have a publisher backing me or anything. So I gotta do it on my own, which is once again why I want to record this for you to show that, hey, we can all do this together, whether or not we have connections, whether or not we have the money or the advantage. Because one thing we seem to always forget is that everyone has some sort of advantage. It just might not be what you think, right? Because look, I might not be a publisher, so I don't have the ability to do certain things publishers can, but because it's my book, it's my name, my reputation, I have the ability to give more to the publishers, right? I will market the book for them. I will do all this stuff with them. So there's kind of certain advantages that we don't realize that we have. Okay. Okay. So Okay, so it says Argosy is Ireland's only independent book wholesaler. We carry a wide range of Irish interest books and maps, as well as a full range of UK published trade titles. We deal exclusively with trade accounts and do not accept non-trade orders. I'm gonna be honest. That might become a dead end, but you have to try it anyway. Because one thing I've learned from my father and from help managing his business and from doing honestly anything is that sometimes you gotta throw yourself into it and you're gonna find another avenue, right? A lot of times it's about pivoting. Okay, it's not quitting, it's pivoting. One thing we all have to learn, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, is how to push first when to pivot. Because sometimes just work hard, grind or whatever, and at that point you're just throwing yourself into a wall, and it's not doing you anything, right? Versus, okay, I'm gonna work hard but be smart. So like the whole work smarter not harder thing is stupid when you could do both. So that's what we're gonna try and do here.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and dial again.
Well, that's unfortunate. Let's see. Okay, let's try this number. Hi, how you doing? My name is Don. I know you probably get a lot of these a day, but I was wondering if I could talk to you or anyone about trying to publish my book distribute my book to you guys. I was told by another bookstore that you guys were the best.
Okay, we're actually a distribution company, so we take books in from publishers.
Okay, so I am an independent author, but I would be able to work with you guys because I publish through Amazon.
Okay, as far as I know, we don't do that now. We're going off today, but I'll give your email if you want to send her over your details.
Okay, you said your email?
Yeah,
Perfect. And what was that? Just so I could write it down.
it is Katrina, which is CAIT
CAIT. Yep.
or IO.
So CAITORIONA.
No, I'll call it out again. CAIT.
CAIT. Yep.
Yeah, or IONA.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay.
At argosyBooks.ie.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. We're gonna be honest, we're gonna get a lot of these a day, okay? And the point is almost rejection therapy. Right? So at Argosy. Good thing I have this to look back at, so I can make sure I send the right one. Argosy books. IE. Okay. So one thing you gotta realize about me is that I love doing this. I love the fact that I get to try to achieve my dreams. Right. I would rather die a failure at this than to never have tried at all. And that's what might happen. You know what I mean? Like I am a 21-year-old self-help author. And the funny part is that anyone that's ever read my book, I think it was like 100 people so far that have read it, have all said, wow, I can't believe that, you know, this information's in this book. And it's because it's not me preaching. It's a conversation with the author. So if you're like, oh, what does he know? Whatever. This is what the book is. All right. But if you want, don't. I completely understand. But it's a conversation with the reader from what I've learned from my past, what I've learned from reading books, doing research, all this stuff. And it kind of goes through the entirety of how to quote unquote live a good life. And it talks about not how to do it, but the everything around it. So things that people think will do it versus what they know won't do. So anything. It gives both views. It's not a preach, it's not a live like me kind of book. I would never do that because what works for me might not work for you. But one thing we can learn is principles of how to live a good life. And there are some things that no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter your economic standing, there's certain things for living a good life that we can all apply to our lives. And I think one of these things, sorry, is that. And I think it's the ability to try and chase what you want, to try and chase your dreams and to have that story. Because there is no story if you don't try. Like where is the story in these people not, you know, rejecting me and me not having to call a million places alone in Ireland. Never mind when I'm going to be doing it, here in America, right? Like there is no story there. And once again, the reason why I'm doing it is because there are restraints on me, right? I had to work a 8 to 4 job. So I'm not going to be able to, call at 9 in the morning here in America. But hey, you know what? I can call over there in Ireland and England and Australia and all New Zealand, all these places when it's, morning for them, right? It is perfectly 9, 10 o'clock for them. So it's trying to find the story there, because think about the day when you're accepting that acceptance speech, or you you're talking to your grandkids on the porch and you're like, you know what? Here, little kitties. Like this story of old Grandpappy. He did this, and here's how we did this. And you know what? It was hard and it was difficult, but he did it because it's what he really wanted. Or, if you're a girl, same thing. Like this is not just like, oh, no, it's for anyone. And it could honestly, you don't have to try to become the, number one entrepreneur in the world or world class athlete or author. No, it could be anything. It could be, hey, here's how I became an accountant and how what I learned and all the there's a story in everything as long as you push for the story. I don't think we're ever going to ask for less epic stories. I think we're going to ask for, in the moment we might ask for less scars. But I think in the end, we'll realize that a lot of the scars were a story, and like, hey, it was funny. Harrison Ford in the show Shrinking, which if you have not seen it, I could not recommend more. But go watch Shrinking. But in the end, I'm not gonna spoil anything. He says, what a shame it would be to be 42 years old and not be covered in scars. And it's true, and like these are nicks being rejected. It might feel like death, it might feel like the end of the world, but it's not. Because look, I've been rejected by 5 people now already. And so, yes, you heard that one where it's like, hey, here's your best bet, which normally means you're screwed. But in reality, the rejection isn't the end. It's just another thing, right? Like Stephen King got rejected 30 times from a publisher before he threw his manuscript in the trash, and then his wife pulled it out and made him go again and again and again. Like, there's so many stories of this. Henry Ford, I think it was 2 failed businesses before Ford. Look what happened. It's just about keep going and the story that gets you there, you know? In the, book, I forget her name right now, but The Top Regrets of the Dying, she said that it wasn't the people who had the most at the end, right? The successful, the rich, the whatever. It was the people that had almost nothing, but they were the ones that tried, the ones that did new things, the ones that took risks, that were the happiest. And now, sure, do they wish they could have paid off? Yeah, but they'll always live with the "oh, well" rather than the "what if." And I think that's something that our brains love, closed loops. So sometimes we close them. We think we close them, when in reality, it's just a lie we tell ourselves. But the only way to actually close that loop is to go and try and do it, to go take that trip to see if you can, get the body that you want, right? Like having these spurts of discipline is not enough. It has to be you're going for it for a while. It's going to take a while. And the best thing is that sometimes if you realize that, hey, this pain is going to be really high, but I'm doing it for the right reason, that payoff is going to be so much higher. It's going to be fantastic. But the thing is that meaningless suffering is not noble. We think that all suffering is noble. It's not. Only meaningful suffering is noble. So staying in that relationship that's not getting you anything, getting you anywhere, doing anything, and they cheat on you or berate, that's not noble suffering. Congrats, you could be in the shit for a while. But take that and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go suffer alone, right? Because sometimes being alone is suffering. But you're doing it to better yourself. You're doing it to grow as a person and to maybe go and achieve that dream you always wanted and become that person you can be. That's noble because that's meaningful suffering. You're doing it for a reason. Okay, so once again, now to that little pep talk, let's go back into this. So I'm gonna message them later, but okay, so Hodges Figgies. Gotta admit, these are pretty nice names. I'll give him that. All right. Okay, well, that had been the most boring 30 seconds of your lives. If you're still here, wow. But, you know, okay, I think we're going to end on 6, right? We're going to try to do this every single day. We're going to try and get 6 or more. I think the goal is to kind of eventually get it where, for the full hour or whatever, we're doing it like that. But one thing I want to talk to you guys about and talk to myself about in a sense is the fact of it's just doing the thing, right? I remember when me and my friend had a podcast together and it was great. We loved it. But one thing we were, and certain things got in our way when it came to scheduling, blah, blah, so we're not doing it anymore. Still the best as friends. But one thing I remember doing is we were trying to find a way to raise money for the podcast on top of our actual jobs. And we had this idea of being not like marketers or middlemen, I guess, for antique shops and stuff or whatever. And I had to have a call list. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I'm so ambitious about this thing, making more money for the podcast so we can, upgrade our stuff, whatever. Well, I made a list, a handwritten list of all places to call and stuff. And no, sorry, I made a Google Doc list, and then I would call and always write out the things or whatever. And it's like looking back on it, I was procrastinating, but tricking myself into thinking I was working. Because yes, technically it is work. You're doing the research for it. You're trying to get this, blah blah. But you're not actually making the calls. You're not doing whatever. This right here, what I'm doing is 2 things at once. Making calls. Say 3 things. I'm making the actual calls to try and get my books into these stores. That's 1. 2, I'm learning about, communication, sales, that kind of thing. And as we do this, hopefully over the next month or whatever, you're going to see such a drastic change in my ability to do it. And 3, I'm making content, right? This is going to come out just every single day. That's free content every day while trying to do this, right? It's 30 minutes to an hour of free content every day on top of any shorts or reels that I want to produce out of it. So if I only did that the first time, could you imagine what it could have been? We might have had the podcast. And like that's the thing about this, right? This thing that we think is, oh my God, it's the end of the world when it's not. Right? Failure is not the end because so many times we forget that we're still here, right? And it's like, how many times have you failed in the past? Probably a ton. If you think about it, so many things that we don't even count as failures because we don't either care about them or they're not big or whatever is still a failure, but for some reason we don't compute it that way. And it's funny. The things that we fail at, we'll be like, oh my God, we fail. But if we succeeded at those things, we don't necessarily care. Like, think about this, right? Failing 7th grade is massive. It's going to set you back a year. You might get made fun of. You're going to think you're the dumbest person in the world, blah, 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 blah. Passing 7th grade, nah, it's whatever. It's just a grade. Move on to the next one. Oh, well. Why is that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's such the end of the world that you didn't get it, that you failed, why is it not a bigger happiness or anything that, you succeeded? And that's the thing that, once again, I really want to push here and like look at what I'm recording on my computer. On my computer, because I don't have camera equipment. I don't have any of this stuff. I'm in a small, dingy hotel room in Florida for an internship, trying to achieve my dreams. This is the story, man. This is what we're gonna, and while I'm here, I'm working extra hard. Like, think about it. 4 in the morning, go to the gym, come back, eat, boom, we're grinding, right? I'm writing my 2nd book. I'm already on my 6th edit. Okay. I've been editing an entire book a week for the past 3 weeks, right? Like, this is what I'm talking about, making content. Like, this is not me bragging about how hard I can work because it doesn't fucking matter, right? Yes, hard work is important, but working hard for the right things is what matters. Janitors work extremely hard, right? Dishwashers. I worked in restaurants for years. Dishwashers worked, oh my God, hard. They're not rich. They're not happy with what they do typically. Now, if you want to dishwasher the rest of your life and that's like your main goal, work hard at that thing. But picking the right thing to work hard at and working smart is the most important thing. Like I said before, if I only just called and made the video like I'm doing now, imagine how much further the podcast could be. And like I said in a past video that no one I'll say another thing. My videos get at most like 100 views typically. I think the highest video that wasn't a short got like 250 views. And it's like, wow, imagine talking to 250 people for a minute. The 250 people sat down with their lives for a minute and talked to you. Like a lot of failures is just about reframing. And I mean, like look what I did there with the bookstores. Yeah, you're right. I only called 6, and might not be a ton, but hey, that's 6 more in directions to where I want to go. And then tonight, maybe I'll call even more. Or hey, right now I'm making content. Like this is actual steps towards what I want to do, towards getting it out there. Because you can do all the research and all the practice and all this stuff, but if you never actually do the thing, it doesn't fucking matter. The only thing that matters to achieving our goals is doing the thing. If I wanted to become the number one author, I might not like doing content. Like I said before, if I got rich, you would not see my face. You'd only time you see my face is if I was doing a podcast or if anything like that. I would not be making the content like I'm doing now. But because I want to expand my audience and grow my audience, I'm doing this. Right. But the point isn't to, become famous. The point is to help as many people as possible. So you have to do that, right? You have to do the actual work that you might find boring, that you might not want to do, and you have to be optimistic while you do it. And optimism isn't naive. It's not like, oh my God, it's all going to work out. It's taking the fact of, hey, there's going to be things that once again, this is what I call unrelenting, realistic optimism. It's taking things that, you know what, I don't want to do this at all, but I'm going to do it anyway. And hey, you know what? I don't know how. I don't know when. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to figure it out. That's what counts. That's what matters. All right. Now, I could draw on. I know I said for a whole hour, but what I want to do is just take that time to make those calls in front of you. We'll be back again tomorrow, day after, day after, day after. So come back again and again and again. And once again, if you want to make fun of me for trying to do what I'm doing, and if it makes you feel better about yourself, congrats. And if you take this and say, hey, you know what? He's trying, I can too. That's the intended goal. And hey, those on the background if you want, right? While you're trying to achieve your dreams, I'd love to do it together. So that one day when we make it, we can meet each other and be like, wow, look, man, like you inspired me, I inspired you. This is fantastic. That's what we want. All right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and back again tomorrow.